Well, this is a crazy experiment, but I just have to try it. So come along with me while we do this. So my sister and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about ways that we could create a painting. That's something that would be a little bit different. And so both of us, we kind of talked about this idea. We've heard this being done before, but neither she nor I have ever tried it. And so we thought, well, let's just go ahead and try this. So what I have here is a 12 by 16 canvas. I'm working with three colors. I have a burnt sienna or a dark sienna, whichever your choice, Prussian blue, and sap green. And what I've done is just mix a little bit of moisture with this paint and put it on directly on the canvas. Now you can do this in acrylic, you can do it in water mixable oils, and you can do it in regular oils. If you're using acrylic, mist your canvas first just to get a little bit of moisture on there so that the paint spreads fairly easy. If you're using water mixable oils, use a water mixable oil thinner with it. And don't use anything else, just those two things, just paint and thinner. And spread it and just mix it so it's very, very thin and watery. And then just start spreading it on your canvas. Now if you're using regular oil, you will have to use regular thinner with it, which doesn't smell good, but however, some people really like to use that. So the choice is yours. Do whatever you like. Just make sure that you cover your canvas really, really well. Make sure you get into all sides and the corners. You can add a little bit of darkness here and there just by simply adding more paint and less moisture. You can deepen the area, some areas, and just start scribbling. Pretend you're a little kid and just start scribbling on your canvas and make crisscross strokes and up and down and sideways. Maybe make some curly cues in there, some swirls, or just whatever you feel like doing. Just make a mess and try and create a few little designs that you can use in this painting. This, like I said, this is purely experimental, but it should be fun. Now when you're done with that, I want you to put a number in each side, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The top, the bottom, and each side. So that's what I've done here now. I have number 1. I looked at this painting and all I see in there is an eye and a nose. And I'm not into portraits, so I'm not going to use this one. So I looked at the second one and I saw what could be some mountains in the center of the painting and then possibly some water at the bottom. This one, I didn't see anything. Number 3, I saw nothing at all of interest to me. You might see something, but I didn't. Number 4, I found quite interesting. On the left side, there's that big tree. It looks like a big tree. And on the right side is light. So as you can see, this is the tree. What I would think would be a tree in that area. And so I'm just going to use my black fine charcoal and I'm going to draw out the outline just to give you an idea of where I'm going with this. Now I want to tell you first that I did completely dry this underpainting overnight. I let it dry completely. I don't want any tackiness at all because when I put the oil on, I don't want any spreading of any kind. So as you can see, we're drawing out this tree now. This black fine charcoal is wonderful because it just comes off so easy. If you make a mistake or you don't want something where you put it, you can just move it very easily. I'm going to have my horizon line right about here, and there's brightness up above. I'm going to use that bright area. Here's a waterfall coming down. I'm going to incorporate that because I can see a little kind of, to me, like water movement down here. And just and in your painting, you just pick out parts of your picture that you think you could make into something. And you can ad-lib. You don't have to follow it completely. You can just look at different things and just pick out whatever you think would look pleasing to the eye. So over here I see a little tree, a smaller tree. So we'll just add that in here. And that's pretty much it. So we got a big tree, a small tree, a horizon line, and a waterfall. Perfect. So now I want to take my oil, and I've got oil on my rag. I'm just clear oil medium, and I'm just going over the whole canvas, top to bottom. Now I'm going to start out with using just a little titanium white, and I'm mixing it with Indian yellow. Now if you don't have Indian yellow, you could use a combination of cad yellow light and yellow ochre, and then blend that with a lot of white, and then you should come out with a color that's fairly similar. I want quite a bit of white in this because I want it to come out more opaque, and so that the light will really shine through. Anyway, just using crisscrossing strokes and just going over this brightest area in the canvas, wherever your bright area is. So I did the yellow. Through the magic of the recorder, I can fast forward fast. And I added some Alizarin Crimson into the yellow, a little crimson and yellow actually together to make kind of a light pinkish orange color. And then I've added the white, and now I want to incorporate just a little bit of Prussian blue, just adding Prussian blue to the upper part of the sky. I just think that would be kind of interesting. Change the color just a little bit. So now going into some green and a little bit of brown. I just want kind of a muted green color. I don't want a bright color right now. And first I'm going to put in my horizon line, and let's just start incorporating a few little shrubs in here. Now you can be really messy with this. This is so far away. And I did wipe my brush off. I wanted to get most of the paint out because I just want a little bit of paint in the brush. I just want to kind of stain the canvas a little bit. So just keep adding those two colors and just fill in wherever you think there would be some shrubs and bushes. I'm doing little tapping, little scrubbing, and over on the right side I'm just kind of adding a little bit more up in the sky area, just for added interest. I don't want everything all the same height. I just thought this would be such a crazy idea, and I've been wanting to try this for a long time. Sis and I had talked about it, and I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. I have a little bit of a visual in my mind, but you know, sometimes what's in your mind and what comes out of the brush, they can be two different things, which is okay. It's always a surprise, isn't it? Painting is always a surprise. So I'm just roughing this up a little bit, varying my height, and also varying the darkness and the lightness of the shrubs. And now I've added a little bit of medium to my brown color and my liner brush, and I just want to do like a few tree trunks in here. And I'm making this paint very, very thin because I want very thin lines. I don't want any really heavy trunks because, like I said, this is in the this is far away. So we just want a few here and there, little sticks and twigs and tree trunks. And just put them wherever you think they would go. See, with this, there's no right and wrong, you know, there's no pictures to look at, there's nothing at all. You're just doing whatever you feel is right. And if any of the trunk areas are too heavy, just tap it with your brush and that'll diffuse it a little bit and make it not quite so obvious. Makes it kind of blend in a little bit more in the painting. So now with black and brown, and I'm using a filbert brush now, number 6 filbert. Let's just make an outline of the tree. I'm just going to get an indication of where I want it. So I didn't want to take it all the way to the edge because I felt like that would be too heavy on the left-hand side. So I've just taken that tree idea and moved it inwards to the right a little bit. And we got the main trunk here. And we'll just do, a branch here. And I want to bring that upward and not out because I don't want the painting, I don't want to draw your eye off of the painting, so it's just kind of upward. And now let's have a branch out this way. And you can make your tree as big or as small as you want. You can put as many branches as you want. I try not to get too carried away with the big branches or the big trunk of the tree, the main trunk. You can get awfully busy with that if you put too much in there. Kind of rough up those edges a little bit so it's not completely smooth. I have to keep reminding myself of that because I keep forgetting all the time. It's so easy just to draw a stick straight line. It's so easy, but it's nice when it's not so smooth. So there's my main trunk. A little more black and brown. And we're going to go off on the side here, and I'm just taking that right off the edge of the canvas. And let's just do a few smaller branches here. Like I say, I'm not going to be too fussy with this. I just want just kind of the basic things right now. There, that's good. Okay, now adding some green and brown, touch of crimson, and a little yellow ochre. And I definitely need more green. So I want to start making some leaves, indications of leaves or clumps of leaves. And so still with my filbert brush, I'm just doing little strokes, little commas, little crisscross, little X's, just whatever you feel like doing to just make clumps of leaves. You're going to have to reload your brush frequently on this. And I don't want it too thick because I want to see a little blue sky coming through. So these are kind of bigger strokes and spread apart. And just keep messing around with it until you get enough leaves that you're happy with it. Now a little brown and ochre and some green, blue, and black into this pile, just for a little bit darker. And let's just bring down a few leaves that are dropping off. I'll add some little tiny branches to this later on, but right now I just want to get the basic blocking in. With a paper towel, I'm just blotting a little bit. Now I picked this up, who was it? Hill. Kevin Hill was doing this on a painting that he did. He used a paper towel to kind of blot out some of the paint. I'm not so sure I really like this idea, but I thought I'd try it anyway just for the heck of it. And it does work okay. It'd be nice when you can take your time with your painting and do it slower and do it really nice. Me, I have to be speedy because I need to do these paintings and not linger on and take forever. So I'm darkening these corners, the left corner and the right corner a little bit more. Just some dark areas. Now green and ochre. And this is just for a little bit of lighter color. Let's add some white to that. It's not quite light enough. Just a little bit of light color, a little more yellow, just for highlighting certain areas. Just wherever you think light might hit it. And see these little teeny taps that I'm doing? Those are like the ends of the leaves. It kind of adds a little bit more to the painting. And a little bit lighter color here and there. Be sure and cover that tree trunk every once in a while. You don't want too much of that tree trunk showing through. Now brown and black. And let's do this little tree on the right hand side. This is quite a bit smaller. And again, I'm just bringing it up. I don't want to take it off the painting. I just want to bring it up and more towards center. Wiggle your brush a little bit so it kind of roughs up the edges. Yeah, I think that'll do. Now brown and black. Just roughen this edge up a little more. It's still a little bit too smooth for me. So now back to my liner brush, and I've got some medium on there. And And I'm just drawing in a few little tree branches on this little tree. I'm kind of debating on what kind of a tree I'm going to make with this. I don't think I want it all green, although I'll probably start out green. But I'd like to add a little bit of color to it, so we'll just see as we go along what happens here. Now with some black, I'm just darkening the little edges a little bit. And we're just going to tap. I've got the filbert brush. I'm just doing little taps. This is different taps than I did on the big tree. Just a little bit of foliage on there. And a little bit of highlighting with white and yellow. And be sure to go over that tree trunk some. And let's highlight this the right side of this tree on the left-hand side. Does that sound confusing? We're highlighting the right side of the tree, but the tree is on the left side of the painting. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Oh. Just blending this in a little bit more, just so it kind of smooths it out some. Makes it look more rounded. Now some blue, green, brown, and wiping off the brush, I'm just going to start making my horizon line here, defining that a little bit more with some shrubs. I want some bushes back here in the back, in front of those trees, in front of those distant trees. And so this is just tapping and scrubbing, just a little bit of both. And as I come forward, I'm darkening a little bit. And now taking all my dark colors, putting them in a little pile here. Just going to start scrubbing in some grass areas. And especially down here in this corner, I definitely want this darker down here. Just keep loading your brush and just spread that paint around. Now remember, I have the waterfall coming here, so I don't want to go over too far. Now you may not have a waterfall in your painting. Maybe you'll have something else. I don't know. That'd be interesting to see. And let's build this up a little bit more on this side, just a little bit darker here. That'll enclose the painting more. That's got a nice warm glow in the sky. I like that. And let's go ahead and just rough up those bushes now, make variations of height in those. And some a little darker and some a little lighter. Just like we did the trees in the background. And black, blue, green, alizarin crimson, some brown, and we'll just fill in this little corner here. Just come right up to that tree. And still using my dark colors. This time I've kind of got a little bit of I use some crimson and blue with my other colors. I'm just kind of doing the background for the waterfall, because the canvas is too light in that area, so I need to darken it some. So it's kind of a purplish color, a bluish purplish color, but it is quite dark. Now, because of the slant of the canvas, it looks like it's not straight, but it really is. It's just that my camera angle makes the canvas more crooked. But it is pretty straight. And just fill in this dark area here. Now with a little mix of all my colors, I'm just going to fill in the grass, what's left of the grass area. And I'm just going right up to the falls. And just rough that up a little bit so there's not a distinctive line. And now with some lighter colors, some of my yellows and the white. Just making a little bit of a highlight on the grassy area. I want this this is really, really dark, so I'm just trying to lighten this a little bit for right now. Well, it's starting to come together a little bit. So now my yellows and white, I want to start tapping in some little bushes here on the in front of the water. And a little highlight on the grass. Now that's very pretty. That really puts some depth in there. It looks like the light is just striking the grass way back in the background. And just highlighting the tops of these bushes a little bit with yellow and white. Still using my filbert brush. Almost this whole painting is done with the filbert brush. That's an amazing little brush once you get used to using it. And we need some rocks now to contain that water. So with my knife and my dark brown and black, I'm just going to fill in that area. Now with some yellow and brown and a little bit of white and a touch of black, just making a highlight color. And just very lightly, just go over the tops of those rocks just to highlight it. And there would be a little bit of dirt over on this side of the water. A little bit of bank area. I might change the location of that little tree. I'm not sure about that yet. I got to look at that more when I get done with the painting and see how I feel about that. So now with a little blue, some white, and a little bit of medium, you just want to thin that paint just a tiny, tiny bit. And making the falls, just come over and drop. And little splashes by lifting the brush upward on the bottom. This is the fan brush. I'm using a number 3 fan brush. A little more white and blue. It's actually going to be two little falls, and just over and drop. There, that's better. Yes, I like that. Little splashes on the bottom. I think that's going to work out perfect. Let's add a little bit more of the rocks down here on this area right here. And some highlight. That's good. And some grasses down here in front of the tree. And you can just put the grasses anywhere you like. Just covers the trunk a little bit, and makes it look nicer. And I think I decided to have a little bit of a pinkish color on the small tree, just maybe little blossoms of some sort. So I'm adding white, Alizarin Crimson, and then I just have a little touch of Indian yellow in there too, so it's not too pink. And I'm using the fan brush, and I'm just tapping the corner And I'm changing the angle that I'm using the brush at. You can see I'm turning it left, I'm turning it right, and just little taps. I didn't think it would be fun to have an apple tree, wouldn't it? And I could do that. I'm not going to with this one, but it's something I could do. Just little taps, and be sure and go over your trunk. And I want to add just a little bit of that pinkish color here and there up in the big tree. It just ties in your colors together better. And let's just touch up this area here. Kind of got a little globby, so we'll just feather it out some. Yeah, that glow shows up really nicely. I like that. And let's add just a little bit of white highlight. A little bit lighter color on some of these pink areas here in this tree. And I also want to add some flowers. So with white, yellow, and pink with alizarin, just on the tip of my brush, I just want to add some little flowers down here. That'll tie in the colors even more. And I'm just lightly tapping, and with the three colors on the brush, it leaves a very nice little flowery look. I'm going to let this dry a couple of days, and then I'll be right back. Okay, the painting has dried, and as you can see, I put in some tree limbs, and I also added my birds. I've got to have my birds always. And the little tree on the right-hand side, I went ahead and touched that up with more color. It really needed more color. I also highlighted the tree trunks, tops of the grasses. I highlighted the waterfall, and added some more little things to the rocks, and just a few little things here and there. So I'm going to call it done, and I thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.